All right. Hello, everyone. This week we're focusing on the activist pathway, and I have Danny Young with me. Danny, thanks for taking some time to do an interview with me, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts with our congregation. I got just a few questions. I know somebody kind of threw you under the bus, told me that you kind of were a little surprised to see activism as one of your top pathways. How did that go for you?
So yeah, I am surprised. When I like this book, like Sacred Pathway, I remember reading it about 10 years ago. And when I was younger, I remember flipping through the pages and I was looking through like the title activism, and I didn't pay almost any attention to it. I just skipped right across from it. And at the time, I remember, I'm more like an intellectual or naturalist. So I didn't put any thought into it at all. But I think it was just about like a month ago, and I was reading one of the questions, and I was thinking, holy smokes, this is something I just did. And I think the question was, um, do you enjoy writing letters to, government officials about stuff like that? And I remember thinking, hold on a sec. I remember doing that too. I think the issue was they started putting parking meters near Lake City, and I was
Mhm.
just upset at that. Well, you guys are like money grabbers. So I wrote a letter to, I think it was one of the MPs in Burnaby, and I wrote to him, just complaining about, hey, this is not fair. And there was another one. I teach, so I work near school, and there were parents dropping their kids off in front of the school. And sometimes, when the light was green, I remember seeing this, and I remember getting out, talking to some of the parents, telling them they can't do that. Some parents completely ignore me. So what I did was I wrote a letter to. So as I'm reading all these things, I go, hey, this really, really speaks to me, and it was a bit shocking, right? But I still wasn't convinced. And so I remember reading the next few sentences too, and the one that really caught my attention was, um, it says, an activist, do you enjoy challenging new curriculums before the local school board? And that really alerted me because I was thinking through this. I was like, hey, this is exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm a teacher, and there's something being passed through by the ministry, how education should be dealt with. And I just felt really against it. And I'm actually doing what I can to speak up about this issue as well. And so a lot of these things just really hit me at this time.
Mm.
Um, so I started reflecting, started
Yeah.
thinking more. Am I really an activist? Um, and I started thinking about, do I really connect with God this way? Because in the past, when I think of an activist, I think of people like Mother Teresa, Muhammad
Hmm.
Gandhi. These are people who are really noble. They believe in the cause, and I never saw myself in the same way. Uh, it's definitely not to the same level. And when I think of an activist, I think the book describes it well, where you're not afraid of confrontation, and we come across as even a bit hot-headed too.
Yeah.
So I started reflecting, throughout my own like young Christian life, and I remembered Sean St. Jean, actually discipled me one time about this particular issue because uh, I don't think I'm hot-headed. I don't think I enjoy confrontation, but a lot of people may disagree. And I remember as a young Christian, Sean, one time it was just some petty issue, and when I confronted him about something, and Sean, in his gentleness, his generosity, he just came up to me and said, "Bro, you can't walk into a conversation being guns and blazes, being hot-headed." And I remember that really stuck with me, as a young
Mm.
Christian, not being like that. Um, so as I sat down and started reflecting, like in the last couple of weeks, about being an activist, that story came up. And I know that I in general, I don't mind speaking up if the need causes for it. And I enjoy talking to strangers. I don't mind, being active. Um, so that eventually really clicked in terms of, hey, maybe this is who I really am.
Hmm.
And I don't think I would recognize this until you brought this up.
Oh.
So I was surprised. Um, Not so much, in a way when I look back, but my wife was surprised. My wife was surprised. Yeah, yeah. She's more of an
Who did I
intellectual.
marry?
Yeah, just like, oh my gosh, I married an activist.
Well, it's,
Yeah, so that was a funny conversation we had. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. No, it's good
Yeah.
to, you know, discover things about your spouse even after years and years of marriage.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Or things about yourself to get more aware of that. What is the role of this being an activist in your relationship with God? How does that fit into you and between you and God?
Because when I look at the Bible, I look at Moses, I look at Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, all these Bible characters. I think a lot of them are willing to stand up and take a position and do something for God. So in terms of my relationship with God, I think it's important that I set goals. Like, what are my goals? What do I want to accomplish for God? Like just before this, I know we're both talking about losing weight. First thing I jumped at was, hey, what's your goal? What's my goal?
Yeah.
And then trying to find out what is I want to accomplish for God. And yeah. So I think what helps is knowing what are my clear quantifiable goals are.
Yes.
But more importantly, and I was reflecting on this too, is making sure that the goals that we have, they actually align with God's agenda. I look at my life and I go, okay, so I know I love comfort, but I know that God doesn't want me to just live comfortably. I want to be used by Him, and that inspires me to do things for Him. See something, speak up. You see a need, do something about it, and don't be afraid. Don't procrastinate, and go after it.
Yeah. Well, those are great thoughts, Danny. Thanks for sharing your experience with this pathway, and just your passion for God and the way you think about it. Make sure it's God's plan. Those all resonate with me, and I love it. So thanks so much for sharing your thoughts, and I'm sure it will benefit everybody who's watching this video. Have a great day, Danny.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Okay.